Welcome back, this is Jim with Aviation Products. Today we're going to start building the fuselage of the P-51 Mustang. In the previous videos, we put on your doublers. Here, on the other fuselage side, we put in the dowels here. We tapered them, front and back, and we bent the fuselage sides. Same thing here, we glued everything together and put the doublers in. We got our tail assembly put together, glued and squared up. One thing I like to do when I build is I like to find the center of all the parts, all the bulkheads. So we find the center of all the items. On the front side, the back side, it don't really matter. Just helps you line up the rudder straight so everything's in a straight line when we build the fuselage. So the first step we do, I hope you built your fuselage assembly fixture. We put in our right side, put in our left side. It doesn't have to be exactly where it has to go right now. I just snug this down. I got a 1/2 inch wrench here I just snug it down just a little bit just to hold it upright, because you're going to be moving these sides forward and aft to get everything lined up. Do not glue at this time, because we want to get everything set first, square in our fuselage. There's not a front to a back to the instrument panel. Like I said, we're just going to now get everything in here loose fit per se, because what we're going to do once we get everything in here halfway snugged up, okay, we just got the instrument panel in and the seat back installed temporarily right now. Just clamp them into place. And what you need to do is to go from this corner to this corner and measure whatever it is. And this corner to here, make these two measurements the same. On 99% of the Mustangs that I build, this dimension is 17.8 inches. So I measure there to there, and that one's 18.1, and this one's going to be 17.4. So we got to move this side forward. This is just to get everything square. The square, the better. So this one is now 17.6, we're getting closer, and 18. So we still got to go this way. You may have to do this 2 or 3 times. There's 17.9, 17.7. So 17.7.5, 17.7, pretty close right there. When you're satisfied this is square enough, you can take a square and sit down inside to verify it's square, which it is. Then you want to lock down your clamp so your fuselage sides will not move forward and aft. Okay. Now, the next thing you can do, I like to do, take these out. We're going to glue these 2 pieces in place. Take all your clamps loose. Put on a rubber glove if you're sensitive to glue or whatever. You can use a little acid brush if you want. You want to Glue this joint in here very well. Get on all three sides of your dado joint. Don't be afraid to use too much glue, because it will wipe out, or wipe off, I should say. Okay. Had a rag around here somewhere. That's all right. Go ahead and put your instrument panel back in. And get the top angle even with the top of your fuselage side. Right here. Both sides. Go ahead and clamp that back in. Same thing with your seat back. On your seat back, make sure this hole goes to the left side of the fuselage. Put that down in there. Clamp it on top. Clamp it on the bottom. Now that fuselage is square. Go ahead and wipe your excess glue off. Okay. The next step, I do the forward instrument panel, item 6. You find your center of it. This goes in the next slot forward. Before you put this in there, you have to cut this angle at approximately a 10-degree angle on these three sides. So you can go ahead and put glue in that slot now. In this slot right here. Yep, put it up. And again, you want to get it even with the top of the fuselage. Get it down into your dado. And clamp that. Okay. I prefer doing the tail next. You're going to have a little bit of pull in on your tail from your steaming. It's going to spring out a little bit, but that's no problem. Your tail is pre-bent or installed already or assembled already. So what you want to do, you want to slide this in here and get everything up to where it's supposed to go. Just like that. I draw a line back here on the bottom of the fuselage, so I know where that has to go. Right here, draw a line with a pencil. Do that on both sides when this leading edge is into the slot all the way forward. You do that also on this side. Okay. That tells me I am in the fuselage when it's together. When it's squeezed together, I got to get this back edge to that line of the fuselage. You can do this one of two ways. You do one side at a time, or have somebody help you to hold this together. I do it one side at a time. It's just easier for me. So you're going to need a drill. You're going to need some of your 8 or number 6 round-headed screws.
Right about there, yep.
I use 2 on either side to hold the fuselage to the rudder.
So go.
Okay, so what I like to do, I take this pencil, and just make a light line inside and outside on the elevator. on both sides. So when I glue inside that line or on that line. So I'm going to have 2 lines like that on my elevator. So you want to put a small dab of glue here and a small run of glue there on the bottom side of this elevator or rudder, fuselage side, and on the inside of the angle here.
I'm gonna come around for that, Jim, real quick.
Because once you get this together, the fuselage will be together. Put this back up in here. Okay. Take my drill, take your screws, put your fuselage up to your line. Just like that. Top and bottom holes are fine. Do that same thing on the left side. This where it's going to take some hands to help get this together. Get to your line. That's pretty close. I want to take 2 more screws, put them up here at the top, into the side. The same thing on this side. A little glue up in that top there. Okay. Now, with everything glued up, wipe that off. Any excess glue you got, you don't have to sand it off later. Before you go home or go to bed tonight, come back and put a bead of sealant, or bead of glue, I'm sorry. Put a bead of glue right in here on both sides. Then that fills that area up with glue. Okay, how to make sure your tail is straight. You can get a piece of long angle of some sort that's straight. Long angle aluminum. Remember, I put a center line on all my bulkheads here. This one here, on the back side of here. Well, we are not exactly on the center because we're on one side of the rudder. So this face of this angle should be approximately 3/16 to the right side of that line. So if you look down here from the back, we're very, very close from 3/16 from the center over to that angle. So that means this rudder is in straight line with the front of the airplane. If you don't have a rudder straight in line with the center line, your sheet metal turtle deck will not fit correct. So this is an important step. Okay, now we're going to put on number 8, the forward bulkhead. Got to make sure you don't have any glue sticking out because I got a little bit there. You have a 10-degree angle here on both sides that you had to sand off. So when you put this in here, temporary, I have a countersink drill bit, or tapered drill bit with a countersink on it. You hold this flush with the front side of your fuselage and drill straight into the dowel. Countersink it. Take a number 8 by 1.5 inch wood screw from your hardware kit. And you want to put one of them in there right now. I'm a little bit shy here, so when I put the other side, I'm going to have to compensate for that. But that's okay. Do the same thing down at the bottom. Don't glue it yet until you get all 4 screws set in there one time. Okay. Now I'm going to turn this. Take a clamp, and you're going to squeeze this together. I'm going to have to redo that one side there. Get this side to match the other side as close as you can, because it will affect your prop shaft or propeller shaft, whatever you want to call it, location. Again, temporary, put in your screw. Okay, that's temporarily installed. You have a rear bearing, or the rear bearing support. You can slide this down in here now. It doesn't really matter. I should say first, on all the new bearing supports, we have a larger hole in here for the bearing. We've come up with an adjustment plate for this. It has to be put in like this on the plate. This being the forward side, but the bearing comes in from the back. What this plate is going to do is going to make you, or have the ability to move your prop shaft left and right, up and down, to get it square on this bulkhead. So we're going to do that once we get this glued in and this section here square again per side from corner to corner. Then we'll put this piece in. So we take this back out. Yeah, dang it. Glue this area. Clamp it back down. Screw this side back in. Do the same to this side. What I've got is just a turnbuckle I bought at the hardware store. I stick in here, tighten it up, snug it up, measure from here to the same spot up here. And on that side I got 12 point, little shy of 300 thousandths. And this one I got 400. So I'm going to have to turn it this way to get this square. What that does is move this square one way or the other. There's 12.3 3. $12.4. I'm going to back that off a little bit. So it's going to probably be about 12.35 maybe. Pretty close. Yep, right there. So right now that is square. You can let this dry overnight just like this. Take your prop shaft and your rear bearing support. Temporarily put everything through here. Clamp your rear bearing support temporarily. And you're going to line your prop shaft so this is 90 degrees. So you got to go about right there. And again this way. Pretty close right there. So when you want to hold that, and you can draw a circle around there. You may want to do this a couple times just to get a good true center. I'll go ahead and put a screw in here just to hold it. Again, verify everything is square. It's cheating, ain't it? Okay. You got this clamp, got the screw in there. Again, check this thing a couple times, make sure nothing's moved. Up and down, that's good. Go ahead and put the rest of the screws in this rear bearing support. Then that sets your prop shaft square. Now we're going to start putting our Bellcrank support in behind the seat. Remember, I drew lines back here so I know exactly where it is on the seat back and on the left fuselage side.
Okay.
Okay, sometimes you have to cut this down. You have a gap here and not a gap up here. Take your pencil. You may have to do this a couple times. You're going to do this a couple times to get both sides to match or to fit the corner in here. So you just have to cut this angle off a little bit at a time to get it to fit. May have to do this twice or 3 times. Okay, so I got to cut that much more off. This should fit in there pretty good now, just like that. That's good. If you want, I should say, what I've done in the past, I put a little block of wood right up here, just a small piece of wood, one here and one on the fuselage side. It doesn't call out on the plans. All that does is when you put the Bellcrank support up in there, you got something to clamp to. But on this one, we're not going to do that. I'm going to have Dan hold this, and I'm going to drill in from the seat back and in from the side over there.
Put it in like that, okay.
Dan, I want you to hold that just like that.
From the bottom?
Yep, just push it that way.
Okay.
So I don't drill into your hand. If I drill into your hand, tell me.
Okay.
And what we're doing, we're going to drill into this dowel, and we're going to drill into this dowel. I'm going to move over a little bit here. Okay, there's one dowel, or one screw. So I'm going to put one screw in there to hold it. Then I go to the outside, drill the other screw. Okay, that should stay in there pretty close. Pretty good. Okay, now Dan, I'm gonna let you do this one over here. Line up that hole with your bit into that hole, but look down here to make sure you're gonna hit this other dowel. Get it lined up 90 degrees to the side. Okay. You should hit this.
Yep.
Okay, go ahead. You got it countersunk?
Yep.
Okay. So we got this hole done also. Got countersunk. This screw is in temporarily. We're going to take this back apart. That screw out. You want to glue this. Glue the other side. Now here's the tricky part. You got to put this back in here and hit your hole again with the screw. And you want to get it square right where it was before. Okay, Dan, go ahead and put that screw in on that side. And I'll hold it in the back.
Okay.
Good. Your Bellcrank support is in. It's done. So right now your fuselage is built. The rudder is square or straight forward and back. Your nose plate is installed. These bulkheads are in. The rear bearing support is in. We have to glue this yet. So we're going to slide or make a mark on the top here. Right there, and right there. We're going to take this out. Glue this good. Put that back down in there. Do your line. Clamp that together. That one is set. Now, I've come up with this little tool here, 1/2 inch hole in the center, and whatever diameter this is here, I have it so I can put this in the front here, so I can get the nose in the correct position up and down and left and right of the nose. So what I do, put this prop shaft back in there, put a little tool on here. I'm going to glue the nose bowl. You got two pieces of 3/4 inch pine you glue together. So we're going to glue this. Okay. It's a bed on there. We're going to put a clamp on here just to hold it. But then we're going to turn this to get it centered left and right and up and down. What you're going to see, you got a 1/4 inch hole here and one down in here. What they are drain holes. So right there, that's where that has to be. So you clamp this all up. Just let it sit overnight. That's where it has to go. The plans say put 4 screws in from the back. I don't do that because if you sand this too much, then you're going to be hitting a screw. This glue is stronger than them screws. So once this is done, you got up and down, left and right, where it's supposed to go. You can take this all out of here and let that dry. That is your nose formed, glued onto your firewall here, or forward bearing support. You will be sanding this off. I'll be doing that on one of the next videos to get it to the proper shape. Okay, again, thank you for watching this video on assembly of the P-51 Mustang. Today we put in the tail, we put the fuselage sides together in our assembly fixture, put our seat back in, instrument panel, forward instrument panel, rear bearing support, the nose bulkhead on. It took all of about 30 minutes to do this. Please watch all our other videos on building this. There'll be more to come. So again, thank you very much.